I don't like Edgelords.
You never see it coming. You see that my mind is too fast for eyes. You're done, but the time is hit you. You're not surprised.
I don't like Edgelord characters because they're often characters that stand for nothing but are against everything. On top of this, they seldomly ever have any real substance anymore. When I say substance, I mean a character that's beyond one-dimensional, as in they don't just get off on pushing people around and tormenting people for the fun of it. Typically, most edgelords nowadays are just characters that have nothing to offer besides being the character that the author decided to put the most work into in terms of how they were designed. This being in mind, I tend to get very annoyed by these characters that they don't offer anything special to the narrative. For starters, since I'm a BlazBlue player, I'll start with Yuki Terumi, everyone's favorite character for no reason whatsoever from the BlazBlue universe. Now, Terumi's backstory pre-BlazBlue is actually pretty interesting. He was one of the 6 heroes, tricked people into letting him into his body, and took over people's bodies. In fact, I can sympathize with him as he was brainwashed into helping the 6 heroes to begin with for the entirety of the Dark War. But that's where my interests stop. Afterward, Terumi becomes your stereotypical I get off on your torment, nobody can beat me bad boy.
Oh, come on, you know me better than that, old buddy. Surely you don't mean to imply I need a reason to destroy and manipulate and kill? Okay, all right, fine. How about this reason? Seems as good as any. I do all the wonderful things I do because I want to see the miserable look on the faces of people like you when you're wallowing in despair, dismay, grief, frustration, misery, all sorts of other unpleasant nouns.
The substance goes right out the window. So take that beef patty of a burger and throw it right out the window and just eat the bun, and there you have Terumi. Nothing special at all. Now, he is a god of sorts in the BlazBlue universe because that's what's cool to do nowadays, but that's not really relevant. Copy and paste characters drive me up a wall no matter what media they're in. Because of this, edgelords often rub me the wrong way now, as they're nothing special and do nothing different from the other 1 million versions of themselves in different media. So I've explained why I don't like edgelords, so surely there must be one out there that I like, right? Well, yes and no, but it depends on your definition of edgelord. So let's use the dictionary definition of an edgelord. Sure, it's Urban Dictionary, but it's an internet meme anyway, so it doesn't matter. A person who likes to say things for shock value, views of nihilism, brooding, and often tries too hard to look cool. Well, taking all that into account, that's Terumi to a T, isn't it? What if there's a character who is an edgelord but doesn't fit the definition? If you watch my intro, or at least have watched it once before, you should know where I'm going with this. Sarahiko Fushimi is an example of a cool character that isn't an edgelord and isn't trying to be. The character instead is just very well written, and the way he carries himself versus needing to be carried by the effect of being cool. In K Season 1, Sarahiko is viewed as an eccentric traitor who left the Red Clan because he didn't fit in with them, going so far as to attack his former clan members. But we see when the chips are down, he's not trying to outdo anyone, instead he's just being who he's always been all along. Someone who wanted to be able to stand on his own and wanted his former best friend's attention. For example, if we continue to look even further into Sarahiko, using him as our example, in Season 2, the Green King even tells him that the world he is about to create will suit Sarahiko more than the way the world is right now because everyone would live by what they're capable of. Sarahiko rejects this and turns against him. So this said, when looking at how edgelords are, most offer nothing unique except for their design and the fact that they're supposed to be cool. Often they add very little, if not nothing at all, to the story being told. The edgelord now is just often a hollow character used to lure people in with shock value because of the things they do versus the reason why they do them. Characters like Shadow the Hedgehog, Terumi, Carmine, Brago don't add anything to the narrative that the story is trying to tell whatsoever. They're merely just there to look cool and tough for the sake of being those things. The edgelord used to be an anti-hero who didn't believe in doing the things the way the protagonist did. Characters like Vegeta, Guts, or more recently Sasuke, were characters that were well designed and fleshed out so that when they were brooding or had edgelord type attributes, one could sympathize and understand them. Vegeta, for instance, lived under Frieza and wanted a way out from under Frieza's thumb and didn't care who he had to kill to succeed. Nowadays, Vegeta may still brood, but his goal now is to try and keep up with Goku and one day surpass him, not being cool for the sake of it. In Guts' case, there's so much to cover to show how much more depth the character has past the surface. I mean, for anyone who has ever read Berserk, you know that Guts has more than earned his right to act the way that he does. Even in Sasuke's case, in part 1, yes, he's your basic edgelord that I've described, but it's in part 2 when all the things come full circle that when we get the character development, we understand why he acts the way he does, because everything comes together and it's really explained why he has such a hatred for the way the world works. More than simply just hating his brother, but instead wanting to change the corrupted way that the world operates. In this light, you can see that he is somewhat of an anti-hero as he attempts to make these changes by force instead of the way that Naruto decided to do things. Talk no jutsu. What I'm getting at here is that the edgelord meme of today used to be well-written characters. Now they're just paper-thin characters that people flock to because of how polarizing they think they are. Besides, it's not like animes even need an edgelord character to tell a decent story or even a great story. One of my favorite anime of all time is Shaman King. It exists without an edgelord. Now sure, you could say that Zeke or Hao in the manga, who wants to rid the world of humans because he feels that they're destroying the earth and not living with it, but this is normal for an antagonist. For those who have not read the manga, I would definitely recommend it. The anime is okay-ish, as up until a certain point it does fall in line with the manga. The manga just adds so much more depth to all the characters and makes it so you understand the antagonist's position even more. But again, this goes back to the whole thing where I want characters that are not a dime a dozen. Just my thoughts though. So now when people ask me why I don't like edgelords, I can say, look at this video, I've explained exactly why. It's not because they're edgy, it's because they're just not very deep characters. The writing just shows us in terms of how uninteresting these characters are. Here's hoping that writing gets better, but I won't hold my breath. So, until the next one.
Wake up, get